Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Did She Just Say Sex? I'm your host, Miss Lanikai, and thanks for joining us this week for another episode. As always, make sure you're following, liking, subscribing on all our social platforms. It is literally Did She Just Say Sex everywhere. And make sure you're commenting on episodes as well. I've been seeing you guys send me DMs and stuff, but comment on the actual episodes. I want to see what you guys' thoughts are in real time as you're listening. And as well as that, make sure you also keep submitting your dilemmas and your questions. I am going to do a purely Q&A episode, probably next episode or episode 6. So there's already loads of questions, but keep submitting questions. So I got a lot of stuff to work through. And this week, I'm literally going to go straight into it. This week, we're talking about purity culture. And if you don't already follow me on my personal TikTok, it's literally lanikai.hunters. I made a video and I was basically saying Christian women need to stop being ugly. And the video, it did numbers. And there were so many people in the comments, some agreeing, some not agreeing. And if you haven't watched the video, pause this. I'll put the link for the specific video in the description. But the premise of the video was me basically saying that Christian women need to stop being ugly. I'm not saying that Christian women are ugly. I'm saying that there's this rhetoric that Christian women, if you're a Christian, taking care of yourself is a bad thing, like getting your hair done and your nails done and just taking care of yourself is out of vanity rather than just self-care. And I really wanted to talk about it more because obviously on TikTok, you can only do so much. I think the video was less than a minute. So I really wanted to spend this episode just talking about it and talking about my thought process behind that specific sentiment. And then, just getting more into the tea because I know I was talking about modesty as it pertains to women. But in this episode, I also want to talk about modesty as it pertains to men because male modesty is not something we talk about. And I'm going to get into it today. I've noticed that Christian women feel like they have to make themselves smaller or like plainer or less beautiful to prove that they're holy. But beauty, like, it shouldn't, how do I say this? Beauty shouldn't just become another standard by which we judge a woman's worth. Yeah. The deeper issue is that we've made a woman's appearance a measuring stick for their relationship with God. It's almost like when you see a beautiful woman, it's difficult to believe she's a believer. The amount of times where I outwardly and openly profess my love for God, but there's sometimes, people will look at me like, you're a Christian, but you wear wigs? Have you worn wigs? Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? Like, people, I can tell they might not say it, but they look at me in a way where it's like, you're dressed a bit flashy, or you may be doing a bit too much for Sunday, why is that a thing? So my actual point with the video was me trying to get across to Christian women that it's okay to enjoy beauty and to take pride in your appearance. You're allowed to do your hair. You're allowed to get your nails done. You're allowed to wear makeup and love perfume, enjoy fashion. Like, you're allowed to look in the mirror and say, you know what? I look good today. And none of those things make you vain, shallow, or less holy. And like I said, there were loads of positive comments where there were people agreeing and saying, yeah, like, I can be holy and hot, which is true. You can be holy and hot. But I really want to try and pick apart why holiness and hotness aren't two things that can coexist, why we leave them in separate rooms. And even some of the comments were women saying, yeah, I agree, but you should still be modest. Who said anything about immodesty? In that video, where did I say anything about immodesty? Why do we make taking care of yourself to automatically being immodest? And those comments, I replied to a couple of them. Because one thing about me in a TikTok comment, I'm a reply. I'm a reply. I'm a reply, and I'm going to tell you about yourself. Because one thing, I love making TikToks. I absolutely love it. I'm a yapper. I love making TikToks. But the thing about TikToks and social media in general is people purposely hear what you're not saying. You can say my favorite fruit is a grape. I love grapes. And somebody will say, yeah, but what about bananas? What about apples? What about pineapples? Hello? That's not the point of the video. I said I like grapes. So it's the same premise with this video. I said, yes, you can be hot and you can be holy. Take care of yourself. And automatically people said, yeah, but you should still be modest. You should still be modest. When did I say you have to be immodest. Literally, when did I say that? I was saying, babe, you're allowed to look good. You're allowed to look good. So why is it that when a Christian woman talks about looking good, somebody immediately feels the need to remind her to cover up? Because mind you, looking good is not about being naked. I could be covered from head to toe and still be killing them. I could be covered from head to toe and still be killing them, by the way. So why is it that we love to make taking care of yourself, we put it in the same bracket as immodesty? I don't like that. I don't like that that's how we approach things. And at the same time, I feel like we forget that beauty in women is one of the most notable things in the Bible as it pertains to women, right? In the Bible, so many women are described as beautiful. As in, directly, the Bible describes them as beautiful, you know? And I think there's this unspoken idea that the more spiritually mature you become, the less you're supposed to care about earthly and outwardly things, which is true, but that doesn't mean you should neglect yourself. You know, the Bible doesn't pretend that women don't exist. Sarah was described as beautiful. Rachel was described as having a beautiful figure. Yeah, a beautiful check the Bible, check the scriptures. Don't believe me? Check the verses. She was described by having a beautiful figure and face. Abigail was intelligent and beautiful. Esther had a lovely figure and was beautiful. Job's daughters were described as exceptionally beautiful. The Bible notices beauty, but the thing I love about the Bible and the way it describes beauty in women, it doesn't make beauty the most important thing about a woman, you know? So many of the women I described, they were spiritually anchored. They were smart. They were rooted. They were dedicated. So though beauty is something that was definitely highlighted, their beauty was not the most important thing about them. And I think that's a dichotomy that we need to realize, that when we speak about women being beautiful nowadays, because beauty is such a thing where you can look at someone and that feels like that's it about them. The amount of times I've spoken to someone and they've been like, oh, you're actually smart. What do you mean actually? Hold on, like, what do you mean actually? That's so backhanded. Do you think I'm just sitting here as an airhead? Do you think I'm just sitting here as a bimbo, not knowing anything because I have a pretty face? No. The Bible literally talks about all these women. Yes, they were beautiful, but their beauty was not the most important thing about them. And I think nowadays we've whittled down beauty as that's it. If a woman's beautiful, that's it. When that's not the truth. And this has been the story from before we existed. So I think sometimes Christian women feel like we have to apologize for wanting to be beautiful. Like caring about your appearance automatically means you're vain, shallow, or like you're less focused on God and you're more focused on yourself. And I don't believe that's true. The Bible itself does not pretend physical beauty doesn't exist. I just gave you a list of women, and you can cross-check me if you like, that the Bible says directly are beautiful. And there are women in the Bible, like I said, explicitly are told on pen to paper, they're beautiful. So beauty is acknowledged, but it's not worshipped. That's the difference. The beauty is acknowledged, but it's not worshipped. Nowadays, I feel like we automatically connote beauty as something to be worshipped rather than something to be noticed. And I think that's where the core issue comes from. You can enjoy being beautiful without making beauty your God. Write that down. Write that down. You can enjoy beauty without making beauty your God. You can love getting dressed up without your appearance becoming your core identity. You know, you can think you're beautiful without believing that beauty makes you better than another woman. I think it's so strange where, like, I think women, we know we're beautiful, but it's so strange that some women, like, they neglect, like, they don't claim beauty. Do you know what I mean? I claim beauty. I know I'm beautiful. I know I'm a pretty woman. And that's not me trying to be vain or me trying to be like, yeah, you know, that's quite literally how I feel about myself and how God feels about me. I'm a beautiful woman, right? And I don't want to create another rule for women because it feels like there's so many rules surrounding women and the legacy of our bodies and how we should show up in the world and as Christians. Because the woman who loves wigs, lashes, nails, makeup, she is free. Of course she is. But the woman who couldn't care less about that stuff is also free. Neither woman's appearance is evidence of her spiritual maturity, right? So even though I'm sitting here saying, yeah, women, you should care about your appearance, I'm not saying you have to have your wigs, nails, makeup, lashes done to be beautiful. That's not the case. The person who does do that is beautiful. The person who doesn't do that is beautiful also. What I'm trying to get at is the women who purposely don't make an effort. Make an effort. Being beautiful does not mean you have to book hair appointments every month. No. You can do your slick back at home, step outside, and you can still be beautiful. You're still taking pride in your appearance, right? I don't want you guys to get me wrong by saying that beauty is automatically you having to spend a buck. And even in the comments of the video that I made, there were so many women saying, oh, I don't have money. I don't have money. You don't need money. Baby, you don't need money. When I first started, I've always been interested in makeup, beauty, hair and stuff. So from young, I've always been like, I always dabbled in it. But when I was like freshly 18, 19, and I did not have money to be booking, hairstylists. I've always done my hair myself, but I didn't have money to book hairstylists. I didn't have money to get my nails done. I didn't have money to go get my lashes done. I learned to do it myself. Even so that up to now, I do my nails myself because I genuinely enjoy it. I have the money to spend to go to a nail shop, but I invested so much time in learning to do my nails that I enjoy doing my nails. And if I'm not doing my nails, my best friend is a nail tech and she does my nails. Do you know what I mean? Like, learn to invest in yourself. You don't need to go and book hairstylists to get your hair done. Learn to do it yourself. Learn to do your slick backs. If you want to wear wigs, learn to do your wigs. Makeup, learn how to do your own makeup. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to splurge money on being beautiful. Just take care of yourself. Be someone who I can see when you walk outside, you're taking care of yourself. Keep yourself well. That's all I'm trying to get at. I'm not saying you have to spend a buck. Just keep yourself well. I'm not trying to say that good Christian women shouldn't care about their appearance. And I'm not even trying to say good Christian women should be beautiful and glamorous. What I am saying is because in essence, both of those statements would be putting an expectation on women. But my actual point is that neither woman's appearance proves anything about her holiness. Neither do. But at the same time, take care of yourself. And that's your own standard. You can decide what that means for you, but take care of yourself, right? So I think another thing I really want to talk about is why, like, beauty versus modesty, like, why is it something that immediately become adverse conversations? So I can say, look after yourself, take pride in your appearance, enjoy beauty, and someone will still hear, yeah, but make sure you're still being modest. Why? Why did a conversation about beauty immediately become a conversation about covering the female body? Because unpopular opinion, but I genuinely believe that covering yourself from head to toe is not modesty. You're demonizing your body. I'm going to say that again. Covering yourself from head to toe is not you pursuing modesty. It's demonizing your body. And I'm not saying don't cover yourself. Again, like I said, you can say one thing and people hear something else. I'm not saying don't cover yourself as Christians, and not even just as Christian women. As Christians, men and women, we're going to get into that in a bit. But we're called to pursue modesty. It's an active call that we're meant to have on our lives as believers. We're called to pursue modesty. And modesty is not just outwardly appearance, by the way, but we'll get into that. We're called to be modest, right? But just because you cover yourself from head to toe does not mean you're pursuing modesty, by the way. Modesty is a heart posture. Modesty is a heart posture. And in pursuing modesty from the correct heart posture, I don't believe that you will feel called to wear something revealing, right? I feel like we've got the divine order in the way that we follow God really wrong. We think follow the rule and that brings you holiness. No, it's seek God and through that He will change your convictions. He will convict you accordingly. So if you are seeking God's heart and you're allowing God to change your heart posture, He will convict you on what is and isn't for you. There might be something that I'm convicted on wearing and someone else might not be convicted on wearing that. And it's just that simple. For example, me, I've made videos about this on TikTok so often. I'm a heavily busted babe. I'm a very heavily busted babe. No matter what I wear, you will see my bust. I could wear a turtleneck, you'll see my bust. I can wear a tank top, you will see my bust. I could wear nipple tassels, you'll see my bust. Like, I have big boobs. I can't hide those, right? So I feel like another conversation that is like kind of adjacent to this is a lot of women think modesty is just hiding your body. No, you're demonizing your body. Clothes don't remove your bodies. I made a TikTok on this as well. Clothes do not remove your body. So when people try to pursue modesty in a way to hide their body, you're demonizing your body. Why would you do that? God gave you that body. And I'm not saying flaunt it and show it off, and don't clip me and say, yeah, Lanikai said I can wear booty shorts and I can wear nipple tassels outside. Lanikai did not say that. Lanikai did not say that, okay? What I'm saying is stop demonizing your body at the expense of modesty, at the cost of modesty. You're still allowed to look good. You're still allowed to look good, you know? But this is what upsets me is when we talk about modesty, the conversation, or beauty rather, both actually, the conversation immediately becomes about covering the female body. And there's an underlying chain of thought that's actually happening here. What we see is, okay, cool. Woman is beautiful. She attracts attention. Attention could become sexual. Men could experience temptation. Therefore, a woman must be reminded to remain modest. So suddenly, a woman's beauty and our bodies become a potential spiritual liability, right? So why is that? Why are Christian women so often taught to manage other people's responses to our bodies? And again, this is not me saying dress anyhow. The word does say that we are responsible. We have to hold ourselves accountable for our own actions, right? I'm not saying physically, intentionally go out there and dress in a way that you know is going to tempt people. But at the same time, don't be afraid to dress well and dress for your body type because you've been told, oh, you're heavily busted, so you can't wear that. Oh, you have a big bump, so you're only allowed to wear flowy skirts. No, that's not the case. Don't demonize your body at the expense of someone else. And at the same time, like I said, modesty is also for women as it is for men. Why do men not think that modesty pertains to them? Why do men think that modesty does not pertain to them? Because you are aware, I like your biceps. I'm being real. I like your biceps. Yeah, I do. I like your back. Yeah, I like your abs. Yep. I enjoy that. I like a man's body. I mean, I'm not blind. I'm a woman who's attracted to men. And if I see a good body, me like that. Me like that. Me want that. So why do men think that when we talk about modesty, they're excluded from the conversation? As a man, you should not be walking around shirtless. I don't care how hot it is. We're having a heat wave in the country right now. I do not care. Why are you walking around shirtless? Hello, hi. Cancel me if you must. And again, modesty is not just a man walking around shirtless, but it's like, what are you doing that for? Because not even to make it a comparison, because we all know if a woman was to walk around shirtless, it would be a problem, obviously. But why is it that the standard that's for women is not the same for men? Because men act like they're exempt. And this is not me male bashing, because if you already know, I've said this many times on this podcast, I love men. You'll never hear me say I hate men. I'm not an I hate men woman. I love men. Men are great. We need them. Thank you, Lord, for men. But why is it that when we think about modesty, immediately it's something that we think about, whoa, I did not speak English just then. It's something that we think about that's purely for women. Because if modesty is a Christian virtue and Christianity is both for men and women, then surely modesty applies to men too, right? So why is it then when I say the word modesty, most of us picture a woman's body, a woman's clothes immediately? Because male modesty, if we're not sure, it could look like, a man deliberately displaying their body for sexual attention, right? Or even outside of the physical, obsessively displaying wealth and status. That's immodest. Making sure everyone knows what car you drive, how much you earn, how expensive your watch is, blah, 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 blah. Constantly boasting and, that's immodesty. And that pertains to women and men as well, but that's immodesty. It's not just an outwardly thing. So yes, physically men can also dress immodestly. A shirtless man posting deliberate thirst traps does not suddenly become incapable of modesty because he's male. We've gendered modesty so heavily that we almost struggle to define what male immodesty looks like. Because modesty biblically cannot simply mean women cover your boobs. That's not it. If our entire definition of modesty only works when we're talking about women's bodies, then our definition is incomplete. It's incomplete. If modesty is purely about not causing the opposite sex to experience sexual temptation, let's use that argument if that's what it is, because that's what we like to use it for women. Women, cover your bodies because you could tempt a man. So if women, for the sake of the argument, I can't speak English today. For the sake of the argument, if modesty is purely about not causing the opposite sex to experience sexual temptation, then where's the same energy for shirtless, muscular men posting thirst traps? Tell me, because women have eyes too. Hello? You think I don't like what I see? I love what I see. That's a good back and that's a good bicep. Hello? I am very much enjoying that. So what makes you think you're not doing a bad thing? What makes you think you're not doing a bad thing by walking around shirtless, posting shirtless? Be like that. Why are you doing that? We ought to really think about it. Think about it, people. Let's wake up. Modesty is not just for women, it's for men. But I think, because it's so normalized as well, this is the thing. Even me, when I was thinking about my modesty a couple years ago, oh, guys, I can't speak today. Last week's episode, I was talking about non-negotiables and desirables as it pertains to dating. And one of my non-negotiables in dating is I don't want to date a man that posts shirtless pictures on social media. I don't want to. And some people may think that's extreme, but that's immodest. I want to be with a person who pursues modesty in all its forms. So dating a man that consciously posts shirtless pictures or is constantly shirtless on social media, that's not my man. Because mind you, modesty at the same time is bigger than skin. It's about how we present ourselves, what we're trying to provoke and what we're trying to display, and whether the glorification of self has become our highest pursuit. Because at the end of the day, it's for attention. For men and women. Women that dress in a way that is meant to be provocative or meant to be, I will cancel me if you like, but it's not female liberation. It's not body positivity. It's self-glorification. You want to be seen. You want to be looked at. Men and women, cancel me if you like. I know today I'm probably not saying things you want to hear, but I'm speaking my truth. I'm speaking the truth. Hello? It's self-glorification. It has nothing to do with your confidence. It has nothing to do with how much you love yourself. It has nothing to do with, how proud you are of yourself. Like, for example, myself, I went on a weight loss journey and I'm still on the journey, but I lost a lot of weight. And this year, I think, is the first year I've been comfortable, especially now it being summer, going outside in a pair of shorts, going outside in a vest top or a tank top. Prior to this year, I never would have done that. In the heat of the summer, I would be wearing a cardigan. I'd be wearing something to cover my body because I was insecure. But now that I, ain't no miles on this here new body, now that I got this new body, there was a part of me that was and I'm not going to lie to you guys, I was grieving, having a new body and being in faith. I'm just being real. Because I was thinking, this is the skinniest I've ever been, and what? I can't show a little buckers. I can't show a little, I can't show a little underboob. Can't show a bit of cleavage. Can't show a bit of tummy. My tummy's flat. Can't show a bit of tummy. Me too. I was thinking, This is the skinniest I've ever felt. I feel so confident in my body and I can't show my body. But God told me that's not about confidence. That's not about confidence. You want to be seen. And it's self-glorification. You want to be seen and you want people to tell you you look good. You can do that without being naked. I said, okay, Lord. I said, okay, Lord. Okay, thank you. So genuinely, when you're thinking about how to present yourself physically, think about why are you dressing this way? What is the mindset behind what you're putting on? Because nothing is just, oh, I just threw this on. No. No one just throws anything on. You know what you're doing when you dress in a certain way. You know what you're doing. So genuinely ask God to check your heart and say, Lord, why am I dressing like this? What am I trying to achieve by dressing like this? What is it in me that wants to dress like this? Even, and like I've just been speaking about dressing skimpy and dressing immodestly per se, but even also the same argument for the people that pursue modesty extremely, the people that cover themselves from head to toe and you can't even see an ankle. Why? Is that, do you feel called to modesty or are you demonizing your body? You know, one thing that I hate, and I know you guys are probably going to get me for this one. One thing I seriously do not like is when I see women, I see this a lot in churches, women will wear a dress. And let's say if the dress has like a V cut or it's backless or something, they'll wear like a top inside the dress. And I'm not talking like in a chic way. I'm talking a nice satin dress and you're wearing a cotton t-shirt from Primark. What are you doing? Stop. If the clothes are not modest, don't make them modest. Find clothes that are modest. Honestly, it grinds my gears because now it's like, what have you gone and done that for then? Genuinely, what have you gone and done that for then? And most of the time, the outfits that they're trying to alter when they wear that top of set, they're not even that bad. They're not that bad. I once saw a girl just wearing an off-shoulder dress, but inside she wore a tank top so that like there were straps on her shoulders. What are you doing? What are you doing? Your shoulders are, I promise you, your shoulders are safe. Your shoulders are okay. What's wrong with having your shoulders and your décolletage out? There's nothing wrong with that. So it's like, why are we purposely trying to over-exaggerate something where we over-exaggerate modesty? And this is the other side of the argument to immodesty, being in modesty. People over-exaggerate it. Why are you wearing tops inside of clothes? If it's not modest, don't make it modest. You can find a top that is cut to a decent neckline if you must. Don't wear it if it's not modest. It's that simple. And even like with that, I think a lot of the time when you do see someone who enjoys their appearance, we feel like we have to justify our own appearance. Like I went through an era where I've always loved makeup. I'm a makeup artist, so I love makeup. From young, always loved it. And there was a period where I was like, yeah, I wear makeup, but like not too much, you know? Like, you know, I felt like there was an era of my life where I tried to like water down how much makeup I wore because I didn't want to look so flashy. I didn't want to look so like, you know, like obsessed with myself because we connote people who take care of themselves to being obsessed with themselves. And I went through like a phase. This was when I was in a specific church. And I went through a phase where I was really watering myself down. And I realized, wait, God wants me at my best. God loves when I put it on. He loves when I put it on. He loves when I look beautiful and when I feel beautiful. So I stopped trying to, you know, water myself down and I beat my face every single Sunday. Every single Sunday. And I felt good. I put my dress on, I put my heels on and I felt so good, you know? And it's like, why does every expression of enjoying our appearance make it seem like a spiritual disclaimer needs to be attached? Because even with like, oh, like fashion, we can see the Christian fashion girlies and I can imagine in their head them thinking, oh yeah, I love fashion, but like, oh, I still have to be modest. Like, you know, that shouldn't have to be a disclaimer. Oh, I work out, but I'm not vain. That shouldn't have to be a disclaimer. You're looking after your body. Like, the bigger issue is that when someone's personal conviction becomes a universal standard for everyone else's holiness, just because Auntie in church said that, darling, your dress your dress is very low. Hello? Hi? If my own mother saw me walk out the house and she did not say zip, my own mother can say, oh, you look beautiful, darling. Why am I letting someone else's conviction imprint on me? Because if God was going to convict me about something, he would have convicted me, right? If I feel like there are times where I have dressed up, I put an outfit on, about to walk out the house, and I feel something in my spirit. I'm like, no, I can't wear this. I can't wear this. This outfit is not good. And it might not even be because I've like dressed skimpy. It might not even be that because like I said, I used to be quite insecure of my body. So I never really had I feel like most people have an era where they're just a little bit skimpy. Do you know what I mean? And it's usually around 18, 19, you're allowed, you're legal, you can go out, you just want to pop out a little. But I never really had an era like that. So I feel like immodesty rather, isn't something I've directly struggled with, but modesty is, because I just connoted modesty to covering your body when that's not the case. And it's such it sounds like a black and white statement because it's either, I feel like as Christians, we see it as cover your body or don't cover your body. There's also an in-between, by the way. There's a way that you can do things for it to make sense. Do you know what I mean? We have to be careful to not reduce every conviction to something that is for everyone. I've always said this. Every conviction is not a shared conviction. I might be convicted about something and it might not be yours, and that's okay because a relationship with God is personal, right? So if a woman preferring to dress conservatively, that doesn't mean she's automatically insecure. Someone questioning aspects of the beauty culture rather isn't necessarily jealous. But at the same time, it's guys, we need to do better. We need to do better. Like I said, personal conviction becomes a standard, a universal standard for everyone's holiness. And it's not true. Christian women, I think we've been taught to distrust our own beauty so deeply that enjoying it freely feels suspicious. Why do we sometimes feel the need to add a Christian disclaimer to enjoying stuff? And I'm not going to call every woman, I can't speak today, woman. That's not English. I'm not going to call every woman who disagrees with me jealous or insecure because that's just lazy. People have different convictions and that's fine. But the problem becomes when your personal conviction becomes like a measuring stick you use to judge everyone else. Your personal conviction is not automatically God's universal command. Every conviction is not a shared conviction. So you might be convicted about wearing miniskirts. Someone else might not be. You might be convicted about wearing dresses with slits. Someone else might not be. Do you know what I mean? You might be convicted about wearing flip-flops and having your toes out. Someone else might not be. So I think we really need to be careful with how we're verbalizing convictions and how we're sharing our convictions to others. Remember, your relationship with God is personal. It's personal. And at the end of the day, modesty is a heart posture more than anything. Like I said earlier, modesty is a heart posture, but realistically, what does that mean? I don't want to swing in the complete opposite direction and say modesty is only about the heart and nothing to do with your outwardly behavior, because it obviously is. Just because you might not be convicted about wearing a short skirt, do you think wearing a short skirt is the best thing to do? And when I say short, I mean damn near we can see your booty cheeks if you bend too low, right? Just because I say it's a heart posture and you might not be convicted about something yet, at the same time, we all know, let's not be dumb guys, we all know what is okay and what's not okay. We all know what's okay and what's not okay, right? So me saying, oh, it's about heart posture and neglecting that it has anything to do with outwardly behavior, that would be too simple. But biblical modesty begins deeper than clothing. We can't reduce it to just clothing. And like I said earlier, ask yourself, why am I wearing this? Genuinely ask yourself. There's times where I've dressed up, I'm about to go out and I'm thinking, okay, why am I wearing this? Why? What is my reasoning behind putting this on? Why am I posting this? Okay, I want to post something on my story. I'm looking through all the pictures I've posted. Oh, I like this one. Why? Why do I like it? What am I trying to communicate it? What am I trying to communicate? Guys, I can't speak today. It's too hot. I was trying to say, what am I trying to communicate? Because we all know anything you do sends a message. The clothes you wear, the words you say, how you present yourself, it sends a message. So what are you trying to communicate? Are you simply just enjoying beauty, or do you need admiration? Clock it. That's a very important point. Are you just enjoying beauty? Are you enjoying looking after yourself? Are you enjoying presenting yourself in a way that's true to you? Or do you need admiration? Do you need someone to say, oh yeah, ra-ta-ta-ta-ta? Is it self-expression, or have you become dependent on validation? Because I think a lot of people neglect that social media is a window for validation. It just is. It is. I'm not going to say that it hasn't been for me. There's times I've posted a story and I'm thinking, oh, has this specific person liked it? Has this specific person watched it? Because if they have, that's a measure for validation. And I'm not saying that's wrong at all. It's okay to anticipate, someone seeing you, wanting to look good, and, someone know that you look good, someone knowing that you've put it on. But what point does it become validation rather than self-expression? And one of the most a question that I love asking myself is, would I still feel valuable if no one complimented me? Would I still feel like I look good? Would I still feel like I look pretty? Would I still feel like I put it on if no one came up to me and said, hey, I love your outfit. I love your makeup. I love your hair. Would I still feel, good about myself? And if the answer is no, then you got some soul searching to do. And that's not shade, it's the truth. You really have to check your heart and say, okay, cool, where's this actually coming from? Because validation from other people should not be a measure for your own self-worth. It should not. And I know that's easier said than done, especially in the social media era where you post and if you don't get a certain amount of likes or views and all these things, it feels like you flopped or like no one cares or da 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 da. I get that. I'm not dismissing the side of that makes it difficult. But if no one was to compliment you, if no one was to tell you, oh, you put that on, would you still feel valuable? And these are for men and women as well. Because like I said, we love to make modesty or just make anything about appearance more like a feminine thing to think about. Men also think about it too. I don't think the answer to modesty is it being about clothes or saying that clothes don't matter. I think the answer is that the clothes aren't the whole conversation. Modesty has to go deeper than a fabric. It has to go deeper than a fabric. It has to ask, okay, what's happening to my heart? What am I trying to communicate? What am I depending on for my self-worth? And can I ask myself those questions without demonizing my body? It honestly, it takes work for you to be able to sit down and say, okay, this is how I feel. This is what the kind of attention that I want. This is genuinely, I put this on today because I want people to notice me. I want people to see me. It's okay to be honest with yourself because, mind you, God already knows. I think one thing that we forget is we neglect to be honest with ourselves, forgetting that God already knows. God is aware. He just wants us to be aware. So be honest with yourself. And when asking yourself those questions, the answer is not to do the adverse and immediately demonize your body. That's not the adverse. You have to ask God to check your heart. Your body is not the enemy. Beauty is not the enemy. Desire is not the enemy. None of those things are like a bad thing. And I don't want it to come across like I'm saying, yeah, no. The desires of your heart for wanting to be seen are not bad. Wanting to look good is not bad. Beauty is not bad. But the question is, how can you steward what God's given you? How can you steward your attraction? Do you know what I mean? Like, how can you steward what you feel about yourself and how you want to communicate that? And this kind of connects to a section of episode 3 that I was talking about, where I feel like I'm going to keep coming back to this like word throughout the podcast, stewardship. Because in episode 3, I was talking about stewarding sexuality rather than just being told what not to do. There's a difference between being told what not to do and being what told to do, And I think the same applies here. In that episode, I was talking directly about waiting until marriage. Like, we're told to wait, but we're not told what to do in the wait. And I think the similar principle for stewardship applies to this. What does it actually look like to steward beauty, to steward your body, to steward the way you present yourself without either worshipping your appearance or demonizing it? it's more than that. It's more than just saying, okay, cool. Oh, I'm dressing in modesty, so I'm just going to cover my whole body. And it's different to just say, oh, I've been covering my whole body, so I'm going to show a bit of skin. Like, that's not how we should go about this. It's genuinely asking God, how do I steward my body? Somehow, women's bodies and appearances are constantly assessed as evidence of something deeper than their character, their intentions, or even their faith. But you cannot accurately determine a woman's relationship with God by looking at her outfit. I think the bigger problem is that we've made appearance a shortcut for measuring their holiness. Too glamorous? She's vain. Too sexy? She's immodest. Too plain? She doesn't take care of herself. Too much makeup? Oh, she's insecure. No makeup? She does not care about her appearance at all. She doesn't make an effort. And somehow it's like women's bodies are constantly on trial. You cannot look at a woman's outfit and accurately measure the depth of her relationship with God. Stop using women's appearance as a measuring stick for their holiness. That's not what it is. Literally, it's just not what it is. So, yeah, like I said from the beginning, Christian women, stop being ugly. And by that, I don't mean go around and spend 300 on a hairdresser and booking expensive nail appointments and buy a whole new wardrobe because Lanikai told you to. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying stop believing that you're making yourself smaller. I mean, stop making yourself smaller and plainer or less visible. Stop thinking that that somehow makes you holier. If you love makeup, enjoy it. If you don't wear it. If you love fashion, have fun, put it on. If you prefer simplicity, great. But don't let anybody convince you that enjoying beauty automatically makes you vain or that being attractive automatically makes you dangerous, because you can enjoy beauty without worshipping beauty. You can steward your body without being demonized. And modesty, rather, can be practiced without making a woman responsible for everyone else's thoughts. So, yeah, that's the episode, guys. I know I said a lot. I feel like this was another ranting, venting episode. But I said a lot, but I really hope that you guys caught something from this, because this, again, modesty is going to be a topic that comes up on this episode multiple times. This is not going to be the first or last time that I talk about it, because I really think it's important. It's something that we address. Modesty is a call to action. It doesn't mean we have to be extremists. Even if it means you want to buy something, ask God, God, is there something I can wear? I do that all the time, because even as a heavily busted babe, I can't wear everything. I can't just put anything on, because there could be something that isn't inherently meant to be busty, but me putting it on makes it busty. And I understand that. So I know, okay, cool. I can't wear this. I can wear this. I've learned my body and I learned what looks good on my body. Do the same. Actually look at yourself. Look at yourself. What will suit you? What will not? What could come across as, what could come across as tea? Understand yourself, because at the end of the day, God wants us to enjoy life. He's put things on this planet for us to enjoy. He wants us to enjoy beauty. He wants us to enjoy clothes, fashion, art, being creative. He wants us to express ourselves. Being people of faith does not mean we have to be boring. Being people of faith does not mean we have to have no self-expression. Express yourself, but do it in a way that glorifies God. It's that simple. If you feel like what you're wearing doesn't glorify God, then don't wear it. It's literally, that's the bottom line. Express yourself however you like. But as long as you're glorifying God and stewarding that, then you're good. If not, you know what to do. Well, a lot of words, a lot of stuff for you to listen to, so I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you for listening. Thank you very, very much for coming back and listening to me yap on. As always, like I said, like, follow, subscribe, comment, do all the lovely stuff. Also leave a rating for the podcast. I've seen a couple people leave ratings and I don't know what it does or how it helps, but leave a rating. 5 stars, anything less, don't bother. No, I'm joking. Be honest with your rates. Yeah, like, subscribe, do all the lovely stuff. And also remember that there's questions and dilemmas. I am doing a Q&A episode coming up. So make sure you're asking your questions. Nothing is too crazy. Nothing's too raunchy. Nothing is scary. You can literally ask anything. Because like I said, this podcast is not a space where you should be afraid. The question and dilemma form is always anonymous. So I will never know who submitted them, ever. Like, ever. Unless you explicitly say your name, I would never know who submitted anything. So yeah, just make sure you are submitting that so we have a bunch of things to get through for the Q&A episode. And yeah, that's it from me this week. Stay blessed, stay well, and I'll see you next Thursday. Okay, bye.